somewhere else. Guess what? That means another man will be in my household. I don't want that for my child.
So this is Apollo Nita, Phaedra Parks' ex-husband, and this was posted to YouTube 9 years ago. Him doing an interview during the time that Apollo and Phaedra were together on Housewives. She married him out of prison, and they ended up having 2 children, and he went to prison for 8 years, and he came out for a brief time, and he ended up going back again, I believe either for the same or similar crimes. Now, when I was watching old episodes of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I was like, what happened to Apollo? So I started looking on YouTube to see what was posted. Very interesting. But I came across this interview of him back during that time when he had gotten out and was getting ready to go back in. And listen to how he talks, y'all. This is the mind of a criminal.
So that's what hurts the most. It's like right before this happened, I just came from Vanderbilt and Tennessee State. We're talking about 3,000, 3,500 students that are all applauding me and looking up to me. So it's almost like being a billion or, two-faced at the end of the day. I appreciate one thing, but then I guess my motto at the end was, hey, don't do as I do. Just try to take my experiences in life and just grow from that. So now you committed this crime, and the people.
And yes, that voice is Wanda, the radio host who got into it with Cat Williams.
In the streets are saying, you did it for the money, of course, but they're like, okay, you're married to Phaedra Parks. She makes all this money. Why would you go out and commit a crime like this and, put your wife to shame, put your kids to shame, put yourself to shame when, she's a sought-after lawyer and she's making the money? Well, guess what? Apollo's never had a handout from day one. Never asked for nothing, never been given anything, ever. So, whatever she has, whatever she has. I mean, apparently the prenup says that she can keep what she has. So, if I feel like I got to do what I got to do, and there's no other way, and if the checks are not being distributed equally, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, you can sit there and say,
you got to do what you got to do. He stole a lot of people's money. A lot of people's money. With some high-end intelligence. So he could have chose any type of career. I mean, he really could have. It just, yeah.
Hey, go get a regular job. Go. I have talent at the end of the day. Go do marketing for this or whatever. You're smart. Why wouldn't you go and get a regular job? You're so smart. But is that paycheck going to be equivalent to what's actually coming in the house? So you're saying you're trying to match?
So that's his excuse. Nothing but excuses. He excuses himself for the things that he's done because he feels like he wasn't matching up to what his wife, was bringing in, and what he would do that would be legit either wouldn't be enough or it would take too long. I mean, listen to him.
Would she have because we not match the stains?
Tell him what Judge Finney said. Judge Finney sat right there in that chair, and she talked about how the reason that she got on TV with her judge was because of Phaedra, and that Phaedra got her a meeting because they wanted Phaedra, and Phaedra got her a meeting, but she was like saying that she felt like you could have just played your position until you were able to come up and that you couldn't deal with that you wanted to live a certain type of lifestyle because of the reality TV.
Exactly.
What do you say to that?
I mean, that's false. I mean, just because, I can't sit here and downplay my wife. At the end of the day, she has...
How is it false when he basically just said that? He just said that he didn't feel like him doing something legit was going to match up to what his wife was bringing in. And what's hers is hers, and the checks don't balance out. So what are we missing?
The most impeccable business model. If a person wants to establish business, then they should, mimic what Phaedra Parks has done. Because I don't care where we're at in the world, at 10 o'clock that phone rings every day on the dial. 10 o'clock, Ms. Parks will checking in.
I disagree with that. Phaedra is a dishonest person, and yeah, that seems to be the typical narrative of an attorney. But y'all didn't watch Housewives of Atlanta? She's very, very manipulative, very deceptive. She is definitely a liar when it's not even necessary. She's very shady.
Like clockwork. But at the end of the day, the dynamics of marriage is different than dynamics of a friend. The dynamics of a business partner is different than dynamics of husband and wife. It's totally different. So what goes on in my household, people don't see that. Right. And, I just, reality TV, as people know, I just started really speaking out maybe 2 years ago.
Which is where we're going to go next with the reunion show. No one has ever seen that side of Apollo. I mean, you went in so hard.
That was crazy.
Like, what made you, first of all, go so hard on that show, and I'd never seen Kenya quiet, as if she was afraid to say anything.
Exactly.
What brought that turn of events on?
Well, because at the end of the day, it's been 4 years on that show, and I feel like it's been a milk session. So you just sit there milking a cow, and I think what I brought to the show...
You said that you were her storyline.
Right, and I have been. Right. I have been her storyline. I mean, if you think about it, from the very first year, if it's not Walter, it was me.
Right.
And then Walter left is me again. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, even with my legal issues, this lady took the stage and ran on every
talk show talking about
it. It's about me. So, I mean, what do you have? So damn right, what I said, put some money on my books. If, you need to pay homage, contribute. But I'm fed up with certain things, at the end of
That's wild. Kenya, I don't know what the truth is with Apollo and Kenya, but I think a lot of people can tell on the show that, he was attracted to her. He brought, in my opinion, if she used him, he let her. He walked right into that, and he was out of line because he was flirting with her. And from my perception, him and his wife, they had some issues, and he knew that she didn't like Kenya, so he made it his position to strike up business deals with Kenya and talk to her. They would hug every time after they talk, and they texting, all kind of stuff. He picked her up, threw her in the pool. Well, she pushed him in the pool first, but all that playful banter, just being very inappropriate. So even the guys called him out on it, and they had a conversation on the show, especially after they were all on vacation and they saw Apollo watching Kenya walk up the stairs in her bikini or whatever. So, I mean, come on, but you ain't no big, someone put some money on his books.
Today, it's just like what we talked about, man. I mean, everybody's been riding for free. Right. Everything's been for free. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, what about when Apollo's in need? No one's there. But every time someone needs something, I'm there.
From my perception, that wasn't for free, because we all know that they have to have some kind of interesting storyline to be interesting for them to want to keep them on the show. And Apollo and Phaedra, especially with Phaedra trying to be super secretive about it. I mean, Phaedra was married to this dude, and she was lying about when her due date was. She got like she didn't know when her due date was. That's just how top secret she is, right? And deceptive. So when the storyline came on about Apollo and Kenya, that went on for quite some time. That gave people something to look at Kenya, Apollo, and Phaedra for, and that kept Phaedra's checks coming in. So all y'all benefited off that. She don't owe you a doggone thing. You participated. Shut up.
Never let anyone down.
I heard a stat on one of the shows. They said, and I ain't told one of this, that all of the reality shows that have been on that have featured weddings, 18 divorces from people who were on reality shows and were married, but because of reality shows, they couldn't handle it anymore. How do you deal with that? And where are y'all right now with all of this? And the fact that there's cameras following y'all around when y'all trying to work out issues. You said that y'all were going to counseling and stuff like that, but there's cameras there. How does that work?
Well, I think the backbone in this is Miss Bell. That's Phaedra's mom. She comes in. She lives with us Tuesday through Friday.
And she's a minister.
And at the end of the day, I think that Phaedra does want to potentially hold things in good grace of God and in the good grace of her mom, and what I guess what her mom didn't have. I don't really talk to Miss Bell about her relationship,
right.
Why she's not still married or whatever's going on. I don't really get involved. But when I have issues and I'm flustered, then I would actually sometimes I'll come storming through the house and I'll just lash out, and me and her talk one-on-one. And I think that's what keeps things in the road. So
some people want to know, did Phaedra have anything to do with the crimes that you committed?
They have what is called a transcriptist that's in the courtroom when I took my plea.
Right.
And they made an announcement that she, is completely exonerated from any allegations, that she didn't have no knowledge. She didn't do.
What does a transcriptist have to do with making that announcement? The transcriptists don't talk. She just take down what everybody says. That's weird.
So at the end of the day, to answer your question, no, she had nothing to do with anything. Even allegations which Angela stand about that book, I said in, it's not a proffer, I said...
Nobody believes that.
In a deposition with her lawyers when they were going through the lawsuit for about almost a week straight, because I was in the midst of all that. That was just a ploy, one, to get your book out there, and two, you were just being really vindictive, and you just had a lot. It was a situation between Tripodis and Stanton that I was able to speak about, and she knew that I was the only one that information could come from. So I believe when she got out, it was all vengeance. She was just ready to attack.
Talking to Apollo Knighter right here on the Ryan Kelly Show with Wanda Smith. You know, your situation is public record, like you said. People know about the plea. This latest thing with you and T.I.
Yeah, I definitely want to address that.
Yeah, we saw the video, Killer Mike and T.I. about something you posted on Instagram where you compared your situation to his and Michael Vick.
Yeah, so apparently Apollo made a tweet trying to paint himself as a victim after he done stole all this money from different people, right? Trying to compare his situation to some celebrities, because Apollo isn't a celebrity. But T.I. was one of them, and T.I. didn't like it, and he confronted him.
And T.I. did not like that. Just walk us through all of that and clear up whatever you were trying to say.
Well, first of all, I think it was a tweet. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm out on bond. Don't nobody really know me. You don't just run up on a person and just, demand anything. You know what I'm saying? One thing you can demand is respect when it's given. You know what I'm saying? I felt really disrespected at that situation. But, hey, I played my cool. I have a lot of respect for T.I. I have a lot of respect for Vic. And by being an educated person, the way I hold T.I. in that essence.
Why would a person demand respect when it's given? If it's given, that it's not even an issue. Like, just listening to this dude talk.
I feel like, instead of running with something, because, that's how a lot of beefs get started. By running up with somebody, then you got your homeboy who's the cameraman sitting there. I mean, who does that? You know what I'm saying? I ain't no homeboys, hold the camera, and you out talking the person I have the issue with. So I can't.
You talking about Killer Mike?
Yeah. So you talking about, Prop 35, Rule 35. First of all, it's called a Rule 35 for the educated ones. What Rule 35 is post conviction, post plea, post sentencing. You cannot apply for Rule 35 until you've been sentenced. Apollo Knight has not been sentenced. Okay, 5K1 is pre. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is what I said. Harvey over at TMZ called me and said, hey, we're running with this story because we see in your plea agreement, the language says, cooperation, 5K1, cooperation, Rule 35. I said, Harvey, you're an attorney. Why would you put that out there? You already know that that's standard language in the plea agreement. He says, well, you didn't have to sign it. I said, I did because I took a plea. Well, you could have went to trial. No, I couldn't go to trial. I pled guilty.
Right.
I'm not going to go to trial and get my head knocked off. So I had to roll what's in the language. I said my concern was not based on that language. My concern was based on collateral attacking an offense that's still in the works. For example, one guy all of a sudden woke up one day and said, hey, you know what, post-conviction, you know what I can do? I can try to get relief on this, and then my sentencing guidelines, I can get that knocked down, so let me go back to court. Well, you know what, the federal system said, no, we're tired of everybody going back to court on this collateral attacking post-conviction. So they put language in there that you cannot attack, you cannot change no matter what. That wasn't my issue. If it don't apply to you, it don't apply to you. So the thing about it, I got Vic's paperwork right here. It says the same thing.
But did you have T.I.'s paperwork?
No, that's why it was my fault. It's my thing. Once I thought about it, it was wrong.
Right.
What I said was, I said, my paperwork, Vic's paperwork, and T.I.'s paperwork, it says the same thing. It's language. Different charge. That language, it never said in my tweet, telling on somebody. It didn't say 5K1.
Yeah,
but it didn't have to.
When TMZ put you on, they ran that story. They put whiskers. They said you were a rat.
Well,
I mean, why are you gonna, because you did something wrong and got caught, try to compare your specific case to Michael Vick's and T.I.'s case? I'm not really familiar with T.I.'s case, or which one are we talking about even, but we all know about Michael Vick and something about dogs and dog fighting and that type of thing. How can that compare when all three of these guys were accused of different types of crimes? I mean, yeah, I don't blame T.I. for trying to why would you, first of all, if you get in trouble for something, don't bring somebody else into your mess that didn't even have anything to do with your mess. Ain't nobody gonna be okay with that. He got an attitude and feels slighted because he feel like T.I. should have been perfectly fine with what he posted. Like, this is the mind of a criminal.
Right. Yeah, they did. That was terrible. But at the end of the day, I never said that T.I. was a rat, and I never said that Vic was a rat. I never said that.
So when they approached you in the parking lot, what are you thinking at that point? What do you think was going to happen?
First of all, I know Tip. I thought that he was coming up being a man and being supportive because
you know him.
Right. That's what I thought. But what did he say to you? He was hostile. So I jumped back a little bit because I was like, and I put my phone in my pocket because I'm like, well, hold up. Is this thing about to go down? Well, okay, let me.
This is why you never deal with guys with this type of mindset, or women, anybody. I'm just saying, because they do whatever they're okay with, and they expect it to be okay with you and everybody else. And then when you have a problem with it, they got a problem. He's talking about he's surprised that T.I. was hostile. How are you surprised? That man, you say you know him, but that man ain't had nothing to do with your crimes, whether you know him or not. And nobody absolutely nobody wants to be associated with someone else's crime, especially involuntarily. Like, what? He can't be serious right now.
Get ready. You know what I'm saying? Because he had, whatever his name is.
Killer Mike. Right.
So I was just really trying to put it all together, and I was just like, nah, bro, I never said that, man. I never said you was a snitch. I got respect for you. I got a lot of love for you.
And he wanted you to delete the tweet right there on camera.
Well, he said this. He said, perception is reality.
Right.
He said, at the end of the day, people are going to go through all your shit, and they're going to just pick it apart, basically, in essence, and say that you said this.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I shouldn't put nobody's name in it. You know what I'm saying? That's my fault.
Right.
I should have. So, in some light, I brought this on myself. But Tip knows how to get in contact with me. If that was an issue, you don't just make it an issue right there in public and sit there and try to make it a ploy. I feel.
No, I don't agree with this, because whatever he did, it was public, right? So it's already been put out there. It can't be taken back. T.I. already had his own issues, whatever those were, that had nothing to do with Apollo. So if he wants to have be looked at under the microscope by the public or the authorities, and then I'm pretty sure he would prefer it to be of his own doing, not somebody else trying to give people something to run with and talk about, and maybe misunderstand whatever this dude was trying to say. And it's public, so yeah, confront him publicly so that the public can be clear that you are not involved and you don't approve. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Oh, to see he wanted him to contact him behind the scenes after he done made a public tweet and put that man in his mess. No.
Just to boost whatever you got going on at the time, you don't need that.
So what was his final words to you?
There was no final words. It was basically like, all right, just straighten it up for the people. That's what the final words was. It was no.
Did you delete it?
Yeah, I deleted it, and I retweeted. I said, if everyone's taking this out of context, I didn't mean it how it was said. I got a lot of love for Vic, got a lot of love for Tip.
Right.
He retweeted it.
I admire these dudes. I looked up to them, and I wish them the best. That's what I said.
But you don't wish he would have just run up on you now.
Does he mean I wish I had those tweets. Does he mean, and now y'all know they out there, because nothing goes away, but does he mean he did a follow-up tweet, or he retweeted it and added this statement? Because that particular context matters, and I do believe the way he's telling this story, his mindset that it seems like he has on it, I believe he retweeted the same thing after he took it down and gave that little statement. Why would you? Man, you better stop.
No, you don't do that, man. You don't do that, because you don't know my mentality. You don't do that. You don't do that.
You think that, because you have been so soft-spoken on the show for that many years, that people really don't know the real Apollo? Like, you've done a bid before. You get ready to do another bid. Obviously, you said you went in at 135. You came out at 190. There were fights in prison. You had incidents, right?
Yeah, a lot of incidents. Nobody knows me. I'm born and raised in Atlanta. I'm from Techwood. I've grown up in the streets, my whole life. I'm a real humble.
Man, this is crazy. Listen to how he talking. Like, he don't run up on you. You supposed to be, people should be concerned about you being a threat. Well, sir, you already about to go back to prison, so that's on you if you want to get into more trouble and do more time. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to be concerned about how you're going to respond when you are volunteering for something that you sign up for. No.
Person at the end of the day, but I can't tolerate disrespect. And I really played that situation real humble, and
you should have.
But
why were you humiliated by it? Because of the camera rolling?
No, I didn't even know the cameras was rolling.
Okay.
Afterward, I'm just like, look, that is not how men handle a situation. If I got an issue with you and I didn't get in contact with you, I would see if I was way on the other side of the world.
Right.
And you don't.
I disagree. He had to clear that up publicly. That was the best route, in my opinion.
Even know
you saying he had your
our circle is tight.
If somebody would say, hey, if Tip would have said, hey, I need to get at Apollo, somebody could have got y'all together.
Man, when Tip came home, my homeboy was on the phone with him. We're walking into Frank's Key. Tip gives me his phone to holler at my man. I talked on his phone for...
Ain't nobody trying to hear that. It's probably not even true, but he talking about they circle tight. Don't y'all believe that mess? T.I. is married to Tiny, who is very good friends with Candy, who they both were on Escape since they were teenagers, and they have been good friends the entire time, still up until this day. And this guy here's wife was the one who befriended Candy and tried to destroy her business in multiple ways, going around calling the people to try to get her restaurants taken down. spreading lies, saying that, her, Candy and Todd wanted to drug people and take them to a sex dungeon. And listen, nah, I don't circle tight where.
45 minutes and give his phone back to him. You know how to get at me, man. You could have easily just said, look, man, that's some... you know what I've been through, Apollo, which I do. You know what I had to go through to fight to clear my name and to stay in the good grace because he's in the streets. He resonates with the people.
This is the mind of a criminal. You do something to somebody, you don't get to choose how they respond. You may not like it, but those are the consequences, the potential consequences that you set yourself up for when you decided to do what you do. Just take responsibility for what you did and quit trying to have an attitude with somebody for how they responded to what you did. That's really, can you just imagine? That's really crazy. And this is not the only crazy thing, and it's not the craziest thing that he says in this interview, y'all. It's really not. Just wait for it.
So nobody wants to be labeled as a snitch. Right. Nobody wants to be labeled as a rat. I get that. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I shouldn't have put his name out there like that, but I didn't mean it like that.
Right.
So?
Go back to that. Go back to with this plea. You were able to do things that the government said they had no idea how to do, duplicating the checks and all this stuff. Are you going to show them how you did this? Is that going to be like you like a whistleblower on how safecrackers go in and teach banks how not to get their safes broken into? Like, are you
exactly? At the end of the day, what Apollo wants to do, I want to give back to the community. I want to give back to the people. What I'm going to do is go into fraud prevention, risk management. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to try to work with the banking commissioners. I'm going to try
just like hackers do for like.
He walked right into that one. He gave this whole speech about not being a rat and all that, and that led him right into that lineup. Oh boy.
Exactly. I want to sit there and try to help anybody who has been a victim and show them how. I mean, I'm better than Safe Lock or whatever.
Yes, you are.
I consider myself to be. I have a lot to give back to the community. I have a lot to give back to the federal government. It's not about telling on an individual. It's about intel. Individuals who's listening out there. It's not about telling. It's about intel. Okay, that's how our system operates. It's on intel. So I think I have a lot of intel, and that's what I want to do. At the end of the day, I enjoy that, being able to actually turn the craft around and to do good from all the things that I know. And at the end of the day, I'm gifted in numerous ways.
I agree that he must be gifted in his genre of crime, but I don't agree with him wanting to do good. I don't think this guy understands what doing good is. He really doesn't.
Did you recognize?
You know what? You said this because I don't want to ask you something before we wrap here. When you and I sat and we talked, we were eating dinner. I said to you, Apollo, when you told me about the whole situation, I said, this is wrong because of what it is and the fact that my own wife has had her identity stolen and we're still dealing with that. And you kind of said, okay.
Wait for it.
Hey, I get it, but I mean, now when you talk about all this stuff and giving back to the community, you do realize that this hurts a lot of people, this line of work, and how they're nameless, well, they're not nameless, but they're faceless, but it affects people's lives forever, dude. I mean, I told you that night, so it's not like I'm telling you for the first time, but do you kind of realize why some people are like, man, forget that?
Right, I understand. Like, it hurts going back, It hurts me that I would be involved in a situation like that, knowing that it could potentially harm somebody. But this is the thing that people must...
Potentially? If you take people's identity and use it to, create funds, and that is on their name, and they have to spend money and time clearing that up, and it also halts them from progress. And they have to, worry about getting it off their record, proving that it wasn't them and reconstructing their stuff. Like, you just interrupted their whole life cycle. Potentially? It's not potentially. You don't take money from people and there's no negative impact to them. So it's not a potential. When you do this, going in, okay, now once I submit this, once I commit to this, I'm making a harsh impact on someone else's life. Regardless of not even knowing what their situation is, you're impacting, you are impeding upon other people's life. This is crazy.
And that the government knows. Apollo Knight has never taken money out of an individual's account ever in life. I would never sit there, it don't matter if it's $1 million in a purse sitting right there on the table, I would never take that. I'm not a thief in that essence. Just like I explained to the judge, everything, it doesn't make it right. It was insured, and And I know that people say, well, you know, the types of crimes that you committed, it makes our insurance rates go up.
Wow.
At the end of the day, it's no right in what I've done. I'm very remorseful. I'm very upset behind it. I'm hurting. I probably hurt more than the victim hurts. At the end of the day, I hurt because I let everybody down.
He did say that. He did say that. Listen again. Listen again. Did he sound like he hurt?
It's no right in what I've done. I'm very remorseful. I'm very upset behind it. I'm hurting. I probably hurt more than the victim hurts. At the end of the day, I hurt because I let everybody down. Because people, just like the first thing that I said to you, Ryan, I was like, look, I want to apologize man to man. I want to apologize to you because you probably put a lot of faith in me. You know, at the end of the day, you were proud of me for coming out of a situation.
Anybody who deals with this dude, you know what you're getting into. You know what you're getting into. He probably hurt more than the victim hurts. Wow.
Right, and just taking that path and turning it around. Right. And then here it is back down that same path. Right. And, you know, and I feel bad because I let a lot of people down. And again, I apologize again to you. And you know, Wanda, you don't really know me, but I apologize to you because you might have been a fan of Apollo.
So I don't know Apollo's records and what exactly he's done, but he's about to go back to prison again, and it sounds like for the same thing, because that's really all it seemed like all he cares to do with his knowledge. So he just sat here and said he probably hurt more than the victim hurts, but yet he just turned around and created more victims. And this is a guy who just said he want to do good. Yeah, he don't know what doing good is.
And you know, excuse my language, I messed up at the end of the day.
Well, speaking of people, you know, being there for you and you know, hurt by a lot of things that you're doing, I wanted to ask you, are you and Phaedra still married?
Yeah, we're still married.
Still married. So what should she do when you go off to prison? I mean, what is her life going to be like? Should she wait for you or move on with her life?
The way that I'm built, I try to mention it on the show. I try not to be astonished by anything that goes on. It's just like a lot of people would take my words and twist them. I think Phaedra, you know, in the perfect world, should be supportive, as a wife should be, and to continue to raise our young men as men and to be successful. But if she chooses to derail from the...
I mean, he just sound kind of crazy to me, talking about his wife should raise his children as young men. In this situation, she probably will do a better job of providing, showing them what a man it should be and shouldn't be, because you're the man and you're the father, and look at you. But again, she's an attorney and she chose him.
From the plan, then that's what she chooses to do. You know, Apollo is prepared for whatever happens in life. That's what I've been doing. I've been surviving. Whatever's been thrown at me, I roll with it.
Do you all live in the same house?
Right? Yeah, we live in the same house. I just got out of my bed. She was right there, and Aiden was in between us. So, you know, I mean, I would like to say, you know, I would want her to stay around, you know, and do what a wife should do. But, you know, tomorrow's not promised.
What do you mean what a wife should
do?
Stick by him. Yeah, stick it then. That don't work.
No. That's what he say should do. See, this that mindset. And that's what Phaedra get. That's what she get.
That all works. That all works. That's what we say in the vows. Getting ready to go to jail. That's what we say in the vows. Better or worse.
But don't count me out.
Well, they're saying 30 years.
It's not 30 years. It says from 0 to 30. That's what the crime carries. Every crime has a maximum penalty.
Do you have an idea of, because I know you're waiting to be sentenced, right? Do you have an idea? Because you have lawyers, you spend money on this, you were bonded out. People are amazed that you were bonded out on $25,000 for the crimes you were accused of. So obviously, you have something to offer the people who are trying to put you in jail, because they don't know how you did it at the end of the day. They know what you did, but they don't know. So they need to know. So do you have an idea of how long you think you might be away?
I have no clue.
Come on, you're smart. You're real smart.
Because it's up to a judge, you're saying at the end of the day. It's another person.
Right. It's totally up to the judge.
Do you think you're going to be penalized because a judge is going to say, you know what, Paula?
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, in other words, it's impossible for him to get any reduced sentencing without, what, snitching? Yeah.
You just went to jail. You got out. And then do you think you're going to get any sympathy? Or what are you expecting?
He's expecting what they did with T.I. and Michael Vick. You want.
Well, Michael Vick went to jail. T.I. went to jail.
I'm not saying that, you know, at the end of the day, prison time is not warranted. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to, hey, slap Apollo on the wrist. You know,
Did Wanda just say that? Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just asking for, you know, there's variances in life. There's alternatives, you know. Sometimes, you know, alternatives are sometimes people's best method. And just Just think, sending a person off to prison, it's just like the kid who stole my truck. Guess what? I went to court, I was his advocate. At the end of the day, they want to give this young man 5 years. He was 18. Do you know what that would do to a person at 18 years old?
Right.
Coming home, no education, you don't have anything. You're back to the same thing. Why not come up with some type of solution to rectify the problem and to put a person in position to where now they feel like they're more of an asset instead of being used and portrayed in a certain light, and just let it work for everybody. I think that at the end of the day, we can come up with something that is structured that can help everybody. I'm not saying that, hey, just sweep this under the rug, by no means, because at the end of the day, I have apologized. I don't know what else to do.
Well, I mean, we know that you came by. You were very honest and open and answered all the questions. And, bro, me and you were friends. I wish you the best, man, because I don't want to see two boys being left without a dad, because that's the most important role model they can have. So I hope it comes out.
Well, yeah, I don't want to see two boys with this type of dad as a role model. Man, listen, you friends with him? Okay, well, good luck with that. Trash, straight trash.